So about a year later, after we had had the Kirkland matter, we had a new case involving a woman named Smith, where patrol officers were the initial responding officers on this scene.
It had been called in by neighbors that Mrs. Smith was out on the street almost to the curb. She was in an adult disposable garment that was soiled. She was in what I classify as like a sports bra. They tried to first ask Mrs. Smith where she lived, who could they call to help her. Mrs. Smith wasn't able to give them that information. And so they did call for an ambulance to come and assist them to check her out and make sure, physically, if she needed anything.
What? Did you go through the house at all? I didn't go through it, no. Sorry.
The patrol officers did what patrol officers do. They walked up to the home and they knocked on the door. At that time, the front door was open and it was a screen door.
Hello? Hello?
They could smell urine and feces and stale odor in the house. Eventually, a woman appeared.
Hi. I guess your mother was outside. She was not completely clothed, but she seemed a little disoriented. So we were wondering if you maybe come out and give us a hand.
She turned out to be Mrs. Smith's daughter.
We'd been screaming for somebody in the house. We were concerned that you or somebody else might be hurt in the house also, because your mother really couldn't tell us that much. She was very disoriented.
She said she had been in her bedroom, and she mentioned that she had an air conditioner running because of the smell inside the home.
Are you her caretaker?
Yes.
You are? Okay.
They checked their egos at the door, and they checked their emotions at the door.
I know it's tough. I've had my parents were stuck at home for years before they passed away.
They were just open and listened, and they took all these awesome notes, and they secured this place and really helped recreate this scene.
Here you go. You're good to go. So she went to Suburban, okay? We're all set. Thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Okay?
When I responded to the hospital, I noted that her toenails were not cut and groomed, and that's something that I regularly look for. They had dirt underneath of them, her fingernails also. Additionally, she also didn't have great cognitive function. We had conversation, but she wasn't able to answer my questions directly.
Similar to the Kirkland case, law enforcement involved us almost right away to talk about evidence collection and what would be needed to ultimately hold Mrs. Smith's daughter culpable for what she had done in terms of the neglect of her mother. Her mother ended up receiving care in the hospital and treatment and ultimately went to a nursing facility. And part of the probation conditions for the daughter was that she wasn't allowed to care for vulnerable adults or seniors ever, to protect her mom and to protect the community. We know that someone caring for an elderly parent or family member is not easy. That having been said, the choices in these two cases that these children made about the care of their parents or lack thereof resulted in horrible outcomes.
The Smith case is the very beginnings of what the Kirkland case became.
Had it not been for those patrol officers, their abuse would have continued with this woman. I'm absolutely convinced of that.
So I would encourage officers to write that initial report, and when they do, write in there everything that they see and they smell and they hear, because that could make the difference later on in the final prosecution.